This episode is brought to you by Bumble. So, you want to find someone you're compatible with, specifically someone who's ready for a serious connection, totally open to having kids in the future, is a tall, rock-climbing Libra, and loves rom-coms with vegan pizzas on Tuesdays just as much as you do. Bumble knows that you know exactly what's right for you. So whatever it is you're looking for, Bumble's features can help you find it. Date now on Bumble.
The Bert Show.
All right, so for those of you wondering, Bert is out today. He unfortunately tested positive for COVID on Saturday. And even though he was asymptomatic, he is starting to feel the effects. So understandably so, he is out today. We're being responsible. We all took COVID tests, and the rest of the crew is negative. So we're the negative Nellies. Bert is the only positive Pam. Sorry about that, bud. All right, so she didn't want to give her friend a recommendation for a possible job. And this is a close friend. Like, she absolutely loves her, but she knows her work ethic, and she has bounced from job to job to job. And there was an even bigger reason as to why she didn't want to recommend her for this specific job.
Yeah, our listener, Dana, her best friend, is working at a company she used to work at, or looking for a job to work at a company that she used to work at. And of course, because it's her best friend, she's like, hey, will you put in a good word for me? You know, it's going to be a shoo-in at least to get me an interview. Where Dana's like, girl, in my head, I used to work with you in college. Like, I don't want you to sully my good name and my reputation in case I ever have to go back and work at this company again, because I know your work ethic isn't top notch. You're a little lazy, all this stuff, but you can't tell your best friend that. So we were trying to help her text her best friend and tell her no. And we came up with as Kristen calls it, a new truth that Dana, our listener, had left the company on not so great terms with some of the people, and that it would be better for her friend if Dana did not recommend her. Well, of course, her friend's like, well, what went down? What's the beef? And this is her best friend who you tell everything to. So it got kind of hairy, but we were like, we cannot give you this recommendation. It would be bad for you. And then we found out Dana's friend had already emailed them and said that Dana was going to put in a good word. And so we were sort of in a bind, and I can't remember where we left it. It was something like, we got out of it somehow. We just ghosted. We didn't respond to what she said because she had asked what the beef was, and we just ignored it and said, you're going to do great in the interview, kid. Good luck.
I have a meeting to go to.
Yes, that's right.
We had a meeting to go to, but we never disclosed what the new truth was as far as why she had to leave or why it ended on bad terms with somebody. But we just reiterated to her, it's not going to have any effect whatsoever on your interview process.
And then we told Dana she was not going to call in and give the recommendation. And if the company called her, she would just say something along the lines of, she's a great friend, or I prefer to keep personal and work separate.
No, we didn't tell that to the friend.
That was our advice to Dana in case the company called and asked for that recommendation. Don't trash your friend. Just simply say, I want to keep personal and business separate. And they can read between the lines if they wanted to.
Exactly. Mo, what happened?
Hi, Bert Show. First, I want to say thank you for helping me text my friend about the job opportunity. I was actually very nervous when I was on with you guys. I hope it didn't sound like it. So I'm not sure if I actually thanked you before we hung up. Well, I heard from her later that afternoon. She told me that she had heard from the company and an interview had already been set up for the next morning. Obviously, that was not what I was hoping to hear. Now, not only was I nervous that she would get the job, but I had the added concern that she would somehow bring up or try to dig around to find out what the drama was that supposedly happened at my departure. She called me after her interview and said that it seemed to go well until they asked her how she knew me. She said that she got nervous and didn't know how to respond. She wasn't sure if knowing me was going to hurt her chance or help her. So she said she just kind of gave awkward and vague answers when talking about me. Later that afternoon, I did have a missed call from my old company. I assumed they were calling to get my opinion on her, so I didn't answer. I checked my voicemail, and it seems that is exactly why they were calling. Despite the fact that I never called them back, it seems she did get the job. She called me the next day and said they made her an offer and she plans to accept it. I congratulated her. Now I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that things turn out better than I am assuming they will. Thanks again, Dana.
Well, this turned out perfectly.
Yes.
I mean, this is exactly what Dana didn't give her seal of approval. She didn't give her a review. Her friend still got the job. And you know what? They worked together back in the day. Maybe her friend has changed now.
I was hoping that when we were doing the texting tutor, that maybe she had seen the error of her ways and she was a more reliable employee. What?
Dana gonna go digging.
That's what I'm concerned about. She got the job. She's going to take it. And now she's working with. So what's going to happen? So I just need her to brace for it. They know that she knows her because she put that in the email. So when she starts, they're going to tell the rest of the company, like the other employees, and they're all going to talk about how much they loved working with Dana. And she's going to get really confused. And I feel like ultimately, after she gets comfortable, whether her friend wants to admit it or not, because that is her friend, and hopefully you wouldn't go behind your friend's back and do some digging. I think she's going to start doing some digging after she gets a little more comfortable in her new position.
Then we just make up a new truth.
What's the new truth?
Oh, I didn't realize that person had left the company. And no one else knew about it because I wanted to keep it really professional and locked down.
Look at you.
Oh.
So only HR knew, which HR can't tell you.
Okay.
So there you go. New truth. Everyone's fired. Anyone who has been a problem in the past is fired and is no longer with the company.
New truth.
All right.
I'm with it.
Okay.
Dude, sometimes lying just fixes everything.
Save that.
Don't do that, kids.
It's a Bert Show.
The Bert Show.